15th of September. Today, July 8th. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:31. Can we start with a roll call?
Bryce
Oh,
Anderson.
wait. Public hearing, I'm sorry. Call to order the public hearing for truth
And taxation.
and taxation. Okay. Still trying to get used to the new format.
Bryce Anderson. Mike Mangan.
Desiree Fowler, sorry.
Bunny Cochran.
Renee Sosi.
Barb Shields.
Item B, approval of agenda for July 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second? Okay. Motion was made by Mike, second by Renee. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item 2, presentation of truth and taxation, business manager.
I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty dark. It's coming.
And it'll have it here.
We have, you guys have a copy, okay, perfect. Okay, so this hearing is just to notify the public of a tax increase. We're required by statute to notify all PUSD property tax owners that the school district has the intention to raise its primary property tax rate above the current level. Actually, what it is it'll go backwards because we've already had one in place that was 16.654. That rolls back to 0 at the start of this year. And now it'll be, if this is approved, it'll be at $9.88 per $100,000 home. So it's actually gonna go back. I mean, we can, if it's not approved, it'll be 0, but the tax will actually be less than we had on our property taxes than you have it this year, okay? What this is used for is our adjacent ways, just so you know, because of our redesign. We're already up to using about $242,000 of our adjacent ways monies. This will give us an additional $100,000. We really could use that, okay? So it's just notifying you that that's our intention to increase it. If you guys approve it, we appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So actually, going backwards means it's going to be less than what it is now?
Yes. Yeah, technically it's 0. If you do not approve this, it goes back to 0. But right now, last year, you paid at a rate of 64. So it's lower this year. So your tax on that will go back. We can go to 0, but we don't.
Do we have any other questions from board members?
Not this time.
All right.
Thank you.
Hold on, it says
Yeah, I didn't.
question or comments from the public. Do we have anyone that has a question or comment from the public?
Is that
On the truth and taxation, yes? Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I was here last year, you guys raised it. I'm hoping it'll go back to 0. You won't do it for repeat. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, adjournment of public hearing for truth and taxation. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion that.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor to adjourn this meeting, public hearing at 5:35? Aye.
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 Motion was made by Renee, second by Mike. Motion carries. Item 4, call to order the public hearing for the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Roll call, please.
Bryce Anderson. Mike Mangan.
Desiree Fowler.
Bunny Cochran. Renee Sosi. Barb Shields.
Item 5, presentation of budget and for fiscal year 2025-2026. Business manager Lori Wilson.
Okay, before you have a presentation. It's the same presentation that we used in June. Nothing's changed because we are still at the same, for the adoption of the same base level funding. Unfortunately, Arizona budget was passed finally. We did get our new base level amount. So if you want to turn to page, let's see. I don't know, it says base level funding amounts. That's gonna give you the new amounts. You can see we did just get the minimum that they could give us was a 2% increase. They did give us that, which comes to $100.26 per pupil. They also raised the bus route miles by by the 2% that was again minimum, which was $3.01 per pupil. So that's what, when I come back to you, and we're gonna do this in September, I have to do a revision. That will give us that monies per student. This one is basically, it's the same thing I adopted, or that I proposed in June. It's based on our last year's budget level amount. So it's really not, it's a preliminary budget. That won't be what we use for the year, okay? So you're adopting something that will get us to September, and then we'll revise it at the new base level amount, okay? Any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? None at the moment. Item B, questions or comments from the public. Seeing that there is none, item 6, adjourn of public hearing for fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Right. All in favor to adjourn this meeting at 5:37 PM? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 7, call to order the regular governing board meeting, starting with item A, roll call.
Bryce Anderson.
Mike Magrum.
Desiree Fowler.
Lenny Cochran.
Renee Sosi.
Barb Shields.
Thank you. Item B, pledge of allegiance. I ask our board members to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item C, moment of silent meditation. Thank you. Item 8, announcement and comments. We don't have one?
Did you have anything more you wanted to say for your?
No, that's it.
Okay,
I'm just looking for a 0,
okay, thank you.
All right, seeing
please.
there is none. Item 9, special business, pay recognition of approval of donation made to the district. Somebody's got to help me here. It's not pulling up for me as well.
Oh, special business.
None.
So if you click on special business.
Oh, okay, nice. I did not know that.
It's not here. It doesn't look like there's any donations.
Okay, so there is no donation at the moment.
Sweet.
Awesome. Item 10, reports, governing board reports. Mike, would you like to start us off?
I don't think I have anything this time that I can think of.
July. I did attend the National Unity Conference with 5 students, 2 high school students, 3 junior high students, and with Mr. Carlos Begay. That conference took place in San Diego, different from how it was, I guess, in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. But it was really much more organized. Our students represented in the 3 of our students participated in Cultural Night, and 1 participated in the talent show. So a lot of culture and leadership skills were learned. I mean, just a phenomenal group of students. And again, just glad to see that our school is being represented. It's pretty good. You're welcome.
I don't have anything at this time.
I don't have anything either.
All right, Superintendent report, item B.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, a lot of work continues to go on in the district as we prepare for school to start on August 4th. A lot of planning in terms of our back to school activities out in the community, as well as when our staff returns, all staff returns, I believe it's on the 28th of this month. Very excited for that. We'll put the finishing touches on that welcome back piece tomorrow and be ready to go. We will be extending an invitation to our governing board to join us for the back to school event on the 28th.
Thank you for that. Item 11, unfinished business. Seeing that there is none. Item 12, governing board consent agenda. Mike, I'm going to ask you to read.
A copy of the consent agenda is available at the district administration office. All items listed will be considered as a unit by the governing board and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless the board member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered a separate item.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion was made by Mike, second by Bunny. Motion carries. Item 13, calendar of events. I think each of us received a list of upcoming dates and events. And then superintendent had mentioned returning staff welcome back in the CAB, and that will start at 7:30 a.m.
That will be finalized.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right. Item 14, additional agenda items. A, discussion and possible approval of the 25-26 budget as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve 25-26 budget as presented.
Second,
I'll second.
Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, as Ms. Wilson shared, this really is a preliminary budget. It is required by statute that we have this in this month and review and revise the budget again in September by the 15th and have it submitted. So we're just working to meet the timelines as set by statute.
Board members, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
This time.
Not at this time. We're seeing none. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion was made by Mike, second by Bunny. Motion carries. Item B, discussion and possible approval of the truth and taxation statement as presented. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? I'll second that motion. Superintendent Anderson?
President Fowler, members of the governing board, this truth and taxation statement for adjacent ways funding is absolutely critical in maintaining the district's infrastructure. This is how we end up maintaining our parking lots, maintaining fire lanes for safety. This fund is really the only tax that the school district has the ability to levy. I can tell you that these funds are absolutely critical as we look at improving our fire access at campuses across the district as well. Again, this is a significant fund for us to use to maintain that safety and security and to be fiscally responsible as it relates to maintaining our asphalt.
Thank you, Superintendent Anderson. Board members, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I think last year, this came up too, I believe.
Yeah.
And is that money particularly earmarked for that? Do you have that?
Do you want me to answer? Do you want?
And I can fill in if you don't.
Yeah, it is absolutely earmarked. It has to be used for fire lanes. It can't be used for like staff parking lot. It is all for students. It is access from the road for students to get in, vehicles can get in. That's all it's for. We can't use it for any other reason. But it also to recoat, like with the bus area, wherever the buses drive. And last year we had to recoat everything. had a company come in and resurface. It was critical because we have, it's from the heat, the damage, the cracks, the whatever. It is really important that we have these maintain repairs for the students and the buses and fire lanes.
The other piece that I would share is that we don't have unilateral authorization to spend these funds as a school district. Every project that leverages these funds ends up having to go through the school facilities division for approval. So it's not as though this money is spent in ways that aren't regulated and within statute.
And again, it's $9 per 100,000. So if you're talking a $400,000 house, it's about $36.
And so what is the condition? I mean, you said it was redone last year. What is the condition of it this year? The surfacing.
The surfacing it's in pretty good condition right now because of parts that we've done. But we have to build up over multiple years because it costs a lot of money to do it. So we're only getting 100,000, that won't cover it. So in 3 years, when we have to do it again, we need to come back each year to build that fund so we have enough money to do this resurfacing again, which will need to be done about every 2 years. So it's not like this, that this amount will get us through. We need to each year build up, so we have it. That's how we had the money this year to do what we had to do for the new parking lots for the students.
And what is the situation of our fire lanes? Are we talking just about resurfacing? You're talking about expanding them? What are you talking about?
Both. What I'm talking about is the expansion of the fire lane off of Lake Powell Boulevard coming into behind Desert View, access across that playground to allow fire access to the backside of the school. Currently, we do not have access to the backside of the school for the fire department.
So that's why there's significant amount this year and it's gonna pretty much deplete what we do have so that we have that access. So we need to build our fund up again, so we need to recode, again, we'll have the funds necessary.
And if this passes, you will have the funds for the fire lanes this year?
Each year, we end up having to go through this truth and taxation process to levy the tax so that we can build a fund to be able to do the projects that are required to maintain our facilities as well as to improve our facilities in terms of those required actions that adjacent ways funds can be used for.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking, if you get the money this year, you'll be able to put in the fire lanes that we don't have?
Yes.
We are using funds that have been collected over the past 3 years in order to do the work that we've got this summer. Prior to that, when we did the resurfacing, we ended up having to collect that money so we had the funds to be able to, really, we didn't resurface, we recoded all of our facility, or almost all of our parking lots. So yes, we end up collecting, instead of coming out with requesting a $300,000 adjacent ways, we end up trying to identify what our needs are going to be over the course of the next 3 to 5 years and set a rate that is responsible and does not put undue burden on our community.
But I guess I'm still not understanding if you're going to be able to get the fire lanes done this year.
Yes.
Yes.
They're
And so-
already put in the PRs, the POs have already been
Oh,
put in
okay.
for prior funds that we had reserved for this. So
It's
we are
basically
good
like
for
a
this year.
continuation of the budget, of the adjacent ways budget. Every year that we've been paying in our property taxes as a community, it just keeps refilling that so that we can continue to take care of all the parking
Refilling
lots.
the pot.
Yeah,
I see.
just keep refilling it every year. So it's something we've been paying for years and years and years as it is.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion was made by Mike, second by Desiree. Motion carries. Item C, discussion and possible action regarding open closed campus. Do you have a motion?
I'll motion that.
Second,
Also,
Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, I've provided you with 3 separate documents. One is a revision based upon some of the data that came back as a result of the survey, and through ongoing conversation related to what are the triggers that would allow for students to qualify to go off campus for lunch. The 3 parts of this are: 1, students would have to currently have all A's, B's, or C's. No letter grade of D or F during a reporting period. So what will happen is they will run grades every Thursday and identify those students that qualify for this privilege for the following week. The other piece that is required to qualify is no tardies. And this is again for 10th, 11th, and 12th. 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th, and 9th will stay on campus. And then the last one is attendance, and that's 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students that have no unverified absences during all reporting periods would qualify for the open lunch. And an unverified absence, typically, if it's not called in by a parent or guardian, after 24 hours will turn to a truancy absence. So really what it's saying is no truancy during any one of the reporting periods. One of the things that was requested by the board, and Mr. Gunther and Ms. McClellan ended up pulling data related to student grades. You will see a stapled document. On the first page, it has student grades for fiscal year 25, which is the 24-25 school year. And then we also did they also pulled some data from previous years. So the 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25 data is there related to those categories. Students with an A and B only, students with an A, B, C only, and students with a D or F. On the next page is a look at tardies over the course of the 3 years and when those tardies are occurring. So that's broken down by class period. You will see that first period has the highest number of tardies, especially in fiscal year 24 or 2023-24 school year. And you will also note that the second highest rate of tardiness is the class after lunch, 5th period. Moving to the next page, they looked at each year, so the 22-23 school year, 23-24, and 24-25 school year. All that data is on the following pages, and it looks at how many incidents of alcohol violations occurred, how many drug-related violations, and how many tobacco-related violations for each of those years. They ended up looking at the time at which these offenses occurred on the next page, that first circle with 43, where you see during classes seem to be the highest rate of infractions, 64.2%. You'll see student count by grade level, so what percentage of students, and that's broken down for each of the school years. We also took a look at what days of the week were these incidents occurring on to see if there was any trend data there. There's a bar graph that breaks the incident count by location or where these infractions took place. And then you move into the 23-24 school year on the next, and all of that same data is presented for the 23-24 school year. And then it closes out with the 2025 school year, which is the 24-25 that we just finished.
Looks like we need some more in our restroom, so.
Yeah. The restroom is really popular.
The last set of data I provided was a survey that went out to our community. We sent this out. It's been open 2.5 weeks, this survey, 3 weeks. We have sent out 2 school messenger notifications to our parents, asking them to please participate in the survey. What I can share with you is we would love to see a larger sampling, but I can also tell you that typically if we get feedback from 213, the bars don't change a whole lot even as we grow that number. It tends to be a relative sample of the larger group. Lion's share of the folks that took this were parents of 10th through 12th graders. Really, in looking at this, it was a 56.81 were in favor of an incentivized open campus, 31.46 were against, and 11.74 didn't have an opinion one way or the other. In question 3, if an incentivized open campus policy was piloted next school year, what do you believe the grade threshold for be? The overwhelming majority at 71.92% was no grade lower than a C. We also took the opportunity to try and identify ways that we may be able to improve, what types of options, and we are working and have worked diligently to expand offerings for our students on campus. We took the opportunity to identify what the perception was related to safety with the open campus. One of the things that was interesting when you read through the comments, that this question would have likely been answered very differently had some sort of tragic event happened recently. That tends to shift how people see this issue with safety and the off-campus lunch. So question 7, do you support changing to incentivized open campus lunch? Those that somewhat supported and strongly supported, again, ran right around that 55-56% in favor, 15% neutral, and about 27% opposed. Interestingly, question number 8 asked about what they perceive the benefits of an incentivized lunch would be. The 2 big ones, better attendance after lunch and grades would improve. Also included with your materials were the comments that were written in during the survey. Mr. Gunther would have loved to have given you this presentation himself, but he is not back on campus until Monday. Happy to take any questions.
Was I mistaken, or is one of the top times for tardies right after lunch?
5th period.
That is correct. The highest is first period in the morning, and the second highest far and away is the period right after lunch.
And that just a moment ago, the greatest benefits would be higher grades and better attendance or less tardies.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't seem to.
No, so what they're saying is with the incentivized, keeping them, that they can't have tardies, that would improve them being back to school on time and get rid of that 5th period tardiness.
If I may.
Yeah.
I was really struck when we talked about this the first time by something that Chris said. Just a short background. When I moved here from California 30 some odd years ago. And in the school district in which my children were, there was a very healthy mix of ethnicities and races, okay? And kids did well, okay? So when moving up here, I was looking forward to the opportunity to find the same thing, okay? That's not what I found. I found that there was seemed like a separation, almost a natural separation between Native American kiddos and Anglo kiddos and others, okay? And that was really disappointing, okay? Given that, you know, there's a lot of things at play here. We sent the report out, or we sent the survey out. One of the things I don't think we asked in the survey is from which population was the response coming, okay? Was mostly in town, was it people from the reservation? Who were they that were really answering our questions and that type of thing, okay? Something that Chris said that, you know, struck me, and I had a conversation with someone else too, is that a situation like this can draw out a very, you know, either or black and white type thinking that I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think every opportunity that we can have for people not to find reason to want to differentiate, okay, I think is important, okay. Someone once said that if you put a fence up, people will come to the fence and they'll say, okay, and they'll turn around and go back rather than find a way around the fence, okay. I don't know if you think that really applies to this situation. This looks very complicated to me. I went through the comments and kind of classified them as far as where I felt the questions or the comments mostly landed. The top one was food quality and choice, and there was one comment about would there be enough food if kids had to stay on campus. I think all those things, from what I'm hearing, have really been addressed well by our food service, okay, and offering something that certainly I never, you stood in line and whatever the lady slopped on your plate, that's what you got, okay? And that's not what the case is here. So I think that we can have the quality and the choice and the quantity of food. And like I've said in the past, I've been down there to Safeway during lunchtime, and when I see the kids going through the line, okay, Skittles and Coke, or chips and Dr. Pepper, that's certainly not preparing their minds and their bodies for what they need to do later on in the day, okay? I don't believe, okay, I haven't checked all the different fast food places, okay, that they're going to be getting a whole lot better, and my apologies to the owners of the fast food restaurants, than what I've seen them be able to pick up in a few minutes at Safeway, okay? The second thing on the list that I found was the time for lunch, that there's not really that much time for kids to go and get a decent meal off campus, and people wanting longer lunches. I don't know how that would work, be able to do that. The third one was administration. How is this going to be administered? Okay, there's a lot of complexity in this, okay, and such, and then it went on from there. Interestingly to me, safety was close to the bottom, that type of thing, okay. So I, for one, okay, think that we can handle what kids need nutritionally and with activities on campus, okay. I see no reason for kids to go off campus for a short 30-minute period. Now, if we were to do that, I could say that might be a rite of passage. When you are a senior, perhaps we could adopt something like this because you're a senior, okay? You're getting ready to go out into the world, okay? Based on, not on grades, okay, but on responsible behavior, okay? Tardies, absences, and things like that, so deemed. But as of now, I'm not convinced that this is something that is in the best interest, except people are used to it, kids want it. There were a couple of comments that, people were tired, or they thought their kids were tired of being on campus and needed a break. One parent said that his child was bullied, when he was on campus, and getting away for lunch gave him a break. Well, that's certainly an issue that the mother needs to bring to the school district so we can handle that on an individual basis. But knowing that there are children that, for maybe reasons that we're not fully aware of or that we are aware of, but that we can't attend, may struggle to make passing grades, may struggle getting to school on time, may struggle with communication for attendance. And then there was a number of people that said that they felt that this could be, and I'm not running scared from this, but this could be turned into more an option to punish kids that aren't making a certain level, or rather than just incentivize. I think we have enough going on in today's world in our educational system that this could almost in some ways be like poking the bear. And I would hate to see it end up a way of separating rather than bringing together. And so, as you can tell, I will vote nay on the entire thing, unless we could come up with something for all seniors based on responsible behavior.
Bunny, thank you for your comments. Board members, do you have any other questions, comments? Renee, do you have any?
Well, I do have a comment. With the meeting we had before when Chris was here, which would have been nice. But, yeah, I think that Bonnie did bring up a lot of points there. And I probably would vote nay as well, just because of the fact that we get kids. The majority of our students are bused in. They're bused in and it's an all-day process. And, I think that a lot of these statistics here might have been just from local parents or people that took the survey. I don't know. I mean, it would have been nice to know how many were from out there and to know what the totals were, how many people that were bused in. Are you bused in? Are you not bused in? That would make a big difference of their opinion of how they should see it as well. When you do the desegregation, between the students, feeling like, well, the ones that live in town, they have a home right down the street. They can have mom pick them up, boom. They can spend their 10, 15 minutes to break from school. Whereas the ones that are bused in, their chances of paying attention and all that, it does take an effect. So yeah, I think it needs to be revised. Maybe could we do the survey and have questions in reference to that instead? And then revisit this in August? Or is it something that has to be passed right away?
Be passed right away
Yeah.
because
I mean, I'm happy to do that. We could do it in August, but it wouldn't take effect until next year. I don't want to change the policy.
So then in our voting, this one, we're voting yea or nay on incentivized lunch, not on off-campus lunch, right? That would be a separate issue, whether or not we were gonna continue with off-campus or close the campus. That
Now,
would be a
this
different
is
issue.
really the request of the
Can you have
administration.
to use your mic?
This is really, thank you. This is really a request of the administration to move towards an incentivized lunch for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders for next year. I know that the word pilot has been used because I think that they're going to learn some things as they go. But I'm happy to take it back out and do a survey. Again, it's as we've learned as a board, to change policy once the school year has started creates more problems than it solves. Case in point, the dance policy that was changed, which ended up becoming another issue for another subgroup of people. So, but I'm happy to do that if that's what the board would desire, is to redo the survey, and happy to do that.
Well, one more thing. I think the 7 through 9 closed campus, I totally agree with. Having a 9th grader last year, not having a ride, they're kind of figuring their lives out, groups of friends with the sports groups and where they're all fitting in. So they're kind of figuring out new friend groups moving from middle school. 10, 11, and 12, I think, like you were saying, Bunny, with it being just seniors, I don't know that I fully agree with just seniors because it may take a couple years for these kids to figure themselves out, and as they grow, to learn the responsibilities of, I need to be back. These kids are going to start driving. They need to learn the responsibility of driving and making it back to school on time, to school in the mornings, just as we all do for work and come, we go home for lunch or we go to lunch, we've got 30 minutes, we got to be back. Same type of things. I think the C's is what I was looking for. I thought A's and B's were way too high when our sporting events or groups is a C minimum. So taking it back where we go across the boards on any type of activity, even if it is a lunch activity, to a minimum of C's is great, because I don't think the segregation is that. It should incentivize all kids to try harder, to help your friends, try to make it. And yeah, there's going to be kids that struggle, but they're already the ones that are possibly struggling already at that, and they may need the extra help, or they don't want to go off lunch as it is anyways. But I think there's a lot more to this, allowing the kids to the option Some of them may not even use it. I know my oldest, there were days that she stayed on campus just because it was the 30-minute thing of, I don't really have that much time. I don't want to walk and go wait in line, so I just stay here anyways. But having that option that they can, I think is, we don't want to lock them down completely, in my opinion, so.
Any other questions?
Do you think that if we got this started within this year, were to approve it, do you think our enrollment would change based on this?
I don't know that it would have any sort of a direct impact on enrollment. I know that there have been a number of inquiries from surrounding districts wanting to know more about what open enrollment looks like in Arizona. I believe we will see students coming from other districts this next year with the changes that we've made.
I would say, I really do appreciate the discussion that we're having. I forgot to mention one thing. Yesterday I was in Tucson. I got invited from a school in the Valley who was doing their summer, well, more like their leadership summit for their administrators. So it was really, really nice to see. But just visiting other schools and then also seeing what is happening at other schools in the Valley, similar to what we're doing. I mean, making the transition of going to a junior high / high school on one campus and having it as a closed campus. I mean, the students are enjoying lunch as it is. I mean, it's not a big priority of where they want to go, but more so, the learning experience is what I think it really drives their understanding, and parents are more so in support. But also recognizing, just listening into the presentation that was being given yesterday, I thought it was pretty awesome how there was 0 barriers is their thrive for the school year. Everyone from a superintendent down to teachers, like, we don't want to set up barriers, but how can we help students to be successful? And it really brought back my mind here to what we are currently doing. I mean, at least there's accountability to allow our students to be successful pulling their grades up. I mean, my son doesn't do great if he's not in sports, but sports is what keeps his grades up. And if I know that that's not just my son, but there's multiple students out there that will strive to keep their grades up just to play sports. But this is also an opportunity given to where students have 30 minutes, but also we're improving our meals on site as well too. So I think it's a win-win situation for a good start in the transitions that we're making. Change is not always going to be easy, but it's a good start to start exploring, I guess you could say, without putting any barriers up to say that we can, and working with our community. We're still helping our community out, but I think it's going to take a little bit more for us as a school district to communicate, to partner with our community to really see what the needs and the challenges are, but how do we start that conversation? And so I think that we need to do better, in a sense, to say.
One of the other major additions at the high school is a grab-and-go market that will be going in, which really follows the food guidelines that we're required to follow by USDA, but it will afford students pay options for things that they may otherwise get off-site. So we are working to afford students an opportunity for choices as well that fall within those guidelines. And our cafeteria staff, Ian, has worked diligently to get that going and make it feel more like a Circle K type of place, or a coffee bar sort of place where students can come in and order a juice or something along those lines. So she really is working to make it, bringing the outside in, so to speak.
I think the key word that I'm hearing and that we've talked about is pilot. With it being a pilot, it may be something that we don't we get to look and see how it actually works and how it functions, and we may be way off this year. And then that's where coming into next year, it's hey, we noticed kids are staying on campus because of the changes that we've made. And we actually look to go to a full-blown just closed campus. 'Cause I know my nieces and nephews down in Mesa, they're on a closed campus, 7 through 12 at East Mark High School down there.
That's the school that we visit.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I think like you were saying, is we afford them the options. We try it as a pilot, see if it works. And if it doesn't, we make the changes. You know, we're always not reinventing the wheel, but adding to or changing just by little by little.
One of the pieces that I will also commit to the board is we will continue to seek data. So we will continue. So as we go into next year, we will survey parents to see how this is working from their vantage point perspective as well. So we will continue, just as we did with the behavioral data, the attendance data, the tardy data, we will continue to collect that data based upon the survey results as well.
Thank you for that. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Seeing that there is none, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for the vote, call for the vote. All in favor?
President Fowler,
Wait,
prior to
yeah.
that, may I get just a point of clarification? I know a motion was made, but I don't know if the motion was made to discuss
Discuss.
or to take action.
Yes.
It wasn't, it was just that motion.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented for off-campus lunch with eligibility.
I second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay?
All abstain?
Me.
Motion in favor, 2, 1 nay, 1 abstain. Motion carries with 2 votes.
I think Renee said nay.
Oh, is it a nay?
Is that nay or an abstain?
Okay. So 2 and 2,
Me.
nay and nay. Okay, sorry. All right,
It's dead.
it's dead.
Which allows, so that allows 7 through 12, 10 through 12, just 10 through 12. Okay.
So it's an open lunch for 10, 11, and 12th graders without the A, B, and C
Without
grade
restrictions.
incentive, correct? Is that how we're understanding this?
Well, if we have to vote on that separately, yeah. If we have to,
So
No, well, that's where it's at.
that's where it's at, yeah. So with 2 and 2, it's basically 10, 11, and 12 is open, no restrictions. Just as it is normal. Right.
I kind of have a different insight, but, all right.
So before we move on, if I can ask, is there any way to bring it to talk about closing the campus for lunch for this coming year? Before.
Can we do a special meeting?
I don't know, you have time?
Absolutely, we have time.
Because the feeling I got from the responses to the survey was that they were seeing it as an either or. The parents were seeing it as an either or,
Yeah.
not as a going to this or keeping the status quo. But it was an either or.
Probably. Question 2, are you in favor of an incentivized open campus for students grades 10 through 12 with a 56.8%? Then yes, for incentivized.
And no with 31.46%.
And then 11 didn't matter.
I'm happy to entertain a special meeting if we would like to do that.
Sure.
Possibly next
Next week,
Thursday.
next Thursday. Hold on, let me double check.
Next Thursday will be the 17th.
I am good on the 17th. Schedule work for utilities.
Let me look. I might be somewhere. I'm good.
17th, okay. All right. Sounds good.
Is there a way you can, we do the survey to send out to say if they're best in or not? It would have to be another full survey.
Say not in that amount of time, but.
Yeah, and we allowed for 3 weeks on this. I mean, certainly we can try. I can't
Can you
guarantee
try?
that we're gonna
I
get.
mean, you make the effort to do so. I mean, that we at least have,
So what I'm hearing you say, Renee, is that you'd like to see whether students are
bust in or
bussed
not.
in or not bussed in. So just add that question.
And
Yeah.
also location or
Yeah.
home residency, I guess you could say.
Maybe residency would be better.
Then you know that it's not after.
Yeah. I mean, I can do a mass email to my, the 5 chapters that we do work around, and that would, let them know that, hey, tell your parents to start looking for the survey. I mean, that way it's there that we have the opportunity to have their comments in it as well.
Can we do
It
a
might change all
social
the
media
numbers.
posts?
We can't. The issue with the social media is, this is strictly a parent survey.
Yeah.
So if we do it social media,
And it's everything that.
everybody.
Get it to kids and surveys.
So that's who this went to, strictly the parents, but happy to open it up to the whole community.
Well, if you do
Just as
social
far as-
media too,
Well, you just don't want the youth getting on
yeah, as,
and convoluting
Voting
it.
25 times.
not only that, if you do social media, then you get the business
Yeah.
owners that want to
But I
jump
think,
on
but I
and
think
say,
what,
yeah,
I think what you guys are asking though is you
That's our
almost need
dollars.
to, you almost have to throw another question in there of, or would you rather see a closed campus?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if that's what you're wanting, potentially,
I will revise
Go to.
this and I will send it out to you,
Okay,
but I would like to get this sent out no later than end of day tomorrow.
yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I do
so
like
much.
what you had to say about, regarding like the attendance as far as the absent, or not absence, but tardiness. I think that is also important as well too, because our tardiness is what's causing a lot of students to be, or trouble, I guess, not trouble, but problematic issue, okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm allergic to, but I'm scratching. Sorry about that, off topic. Item D, discussion and possible approval of the intergovernmental agreement with Elevate Arizona Employee Benefit Trust, EAEBT. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Superintendent Anderson?
President Fowler, members of the governing board, this is simply the finalized intergovernmental agreement for our benefits, medical, health benefits for next year. This document has been reviewed and okayed by district council for the governing board to approve.
Comments, questions, concerns, board members?
I don't have it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. I'm sorry. Motion is made by Mike, second by Renee. Motion carries. Item E, second read and possible adoption of policy advisory volume 37, number 5, as listed.
I'll make a motion as listed.
And that's a big list. Second,
Is-
I'll second.
Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, this is the third time you should have seen these policies. This is the policy advisory that came from ASBA. We ended up doing a first read at our June meeting, and the policy document was shared with you was scheduled to be shared. I believe you folks received the document that from our study session that did not happen in May. So this is one of the final 2 most recent policy advisories related to changes to align with statute and streamlining of our policy document.
Thank you, board members. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing that there is none, call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion was made by Mike, second by Buddy. Motion carries. Item F, informational item, regulations and exhibit associated with policy advisory, volume 37, number 5, DB-R. All the others as listed. Do we have oh, nope, Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, as is our practice to bring updated regulations to the board as an informational item as policy changes. This is simply brought as an informational item and does not require any action.
Board members, do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
None. Item H, G, oh, G, yep, G, sorry about that. Item G, second read and possible adoption of policies and policy advisory, volume 37, number 6, IJNDB, use of technology resource and instruction, and others that are listed. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, again, this is the 6th policy advisory that we bring to the board. It is for second read and possible adoption. Again, this is the 3rd time we're seeing this as part of our process. First read was done at our June meeting. Second read and adoption is the recommendation for this evening.
Any questions, comments, concerns, board members?
I have a question.
Yes.
How much training does our staff receive as far as, because I know it's difficult, okay, to recognize and then be willing to report child abuse?
President Fowler, board member Cochran, the fact of the matter is any school district employee is a mandatory reporter by statute. Failure to report child abuse can result in loss of licensure. Our schools get training multiple times a year. As a matter of fact, as we're looking at our back to school meetings with staff, each school will be scheduling with our student support services to receive training in child abuse reporting to start the school year.
And does that training follow up?
I don't understand the
If
question.
someone reports child abuse, does that include, you just send it on its way? Does that training include, is there someone that follows up? to
Yes,
see-
there is the process within the district is child abuse is reported by the person who has observed that. And then that report then goes to student support services, who maintains those documents, because there are investigations that may not be immediate, but years down the road, where that information is needed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation or some other entity. So they do warehouse that information. They also utilize that information to identify necessary supports for the student and also potential assistance for the family.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing there is none, call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion was made by Mike, second by Renee. Motion carries. Item H, informational item, regulations and exhibit associated with policy advisory, volume 37, number 6, IJND-R, use of technology resource and instruction, and also JR-R, students' records. Superintendent Anderson.
President Fowler, members of the governing board, again, these are shared as regulations that come to the board as informational items. No action required.
Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing that there is none, item 15, future agenda items. I guess just the possible closure of the Page High School campus.
May I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
You were going to, bless your heart, okay, send out a survey and like Mike said, close campus, but could we also include under the caveat for seniors only?
We can put, so what I will do is I will likely go through and take a look at the survey. I don't I try to keep my survey to no more than 10 questions. There may be questions that we don't have to ask a second time on here, unless the board would like to see these same questions go out exactly and just add additional questions. I'm happy to do that as well, but typically if it gets too long of a survey, people don't finish it. But yes, what we can do is we can put a fully closed campus, we can put a opportunity for only seniors to leave campus as questions on the survey. The other thing that I might suggest is that with our language for the agenda item, that we keep it simple to discussion and possible action related to open, closed campus at the high school. What will be critical is the motion language as it relates to the action that the governing board takes.
Sounds good. Any other items? Remember, just to submit your future agenda items 5 days prior to the board meeting. Item 16, adjournment of work study session. I make a motion to adjourn at 6:32 PM.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion was made by Desiree, second by Mike, motion carries.